My name was Amir. I was a proud engineer, esteemed in the bustling tech corridors of Dubai. My life revolved around numbers, schematics, and the relentless pursuit of perfection. I honored the traditions of my faith, fulfilled my family's expectations, yet beneath the polished exterior, I was haunted by an abyss of emptiness. Every prayer felt mechanical, every success grew colder. A void crept in, one I dared not name, until a night changed everything. In an instant, I found myself in an accident that should have claimed my life. But instead, I glimpsed a realm beyond this world, a dark, desolate space where despair clung like a shroud. And then, amidst the shadows, a light emerged. It was him. Jesus. He called my name, unveiling a reality I had long ignored. A battle for my soul, a spiritual war that raged silently around me. I learned that I was caught in a net, a web of religious conventions that bound me tighter than I realized. The truth of the freedom in Christ shattered my perception of existence. It was not just about my own salvation, it was about awakening to a movement waiting to flourish, an invitation into a new purpose, one drenched in love and liberation, but marred by the risk of rejection from those I held dear. As I returned from that experience, I felt the weight of both a curse and a calling. The struggle within me intensified, as the very people I loved saw me as a traitor. The fear of losing my identity enveloped me, yet a spark ignited within, a fierce desire to uncover the truth and share it with others, even if it meant walking a perilous path. This is my journey from the shadows of spiritual confusion to the radiant light of truth in Christ. In a world that often shuns such revelations, I implore you to listen closely. Today I will share how one encounter transformed my life and may ignite a similar fire in your heart. But first I want to know, where are you watching from? And what time is it where you are? Your story matters to me. And if you love Jesus as I do, subscribe now to Truth from Beyond. Don't miss the transformations and truths that lie ahead. Together, we will unveil what connects us all. In the vibrant tech neighborhood of Dubai, the hum of innovation surrounded me daily as I navigated the intricate demands of my work as an engineer. On the surface, I appeared confident and accomplished, handling high-stakes projects with several other talented professionals. But beneath that facade lay a tumultuous sea of doubt and dissatisfaction. I often masked my inner struggles with the rigid expectations of an Islamic culture steeped in tradition and family values. My life was a delicate balancing act, teetering between fulfilling societal roles and confronting the deeper questions that gnawed at my spirit. One fateful afternoon, amid the pressure of impending deadlines, I found myself engulfed in an unexpected event that would change everything. While working on a complex design, I felt an unusual wave of dizziness wash over me. The world around me began to dim as my vision blurred, and I lost consciousness. When I came to, I was in a space that was both unsettling and profound, a dark void where time seemed to stand still. In that moment of disorientation, I encountered Jesus. His presence illuminated the darkness like a beacon of hope, and I felt an overwhelming flood of love enveloping me. As I stood before him, a profound understanding washed over me. Jesus began to unveil truths that had long been buried under layers of societal expectations and manipulation. He showed me the spiritual war being waged not only in my heart but throughout the world. The deception that permeated our societies, often disguised as tradition or authority, was laid bare before me. I witnessed how the elite used fear and division as tools to control the masses, distorting spiritual teachings into instruments of oppression. This revelation shattered my imposed beliefs, exposing the vulnerability of those caught in the crossfire of ideological battles. With each revelation, I felt the urgent need to awaken from my comfortable complacency. The pictures that flashed through my mind revealed the struggles experienced by many who were trapped in the same web of deception I had been living in. I was shown waves of workers, families, and individuals yearning for truth, yet shackled by the chains of fear, ignorance, and societal pressure. I understood in that moment that I could no longer remain silent. The truths I had learned and the love I had felt compelled me to return and share the message of hope and awakening with others. But as I was thrust back into reality, I felt a deep apprehension. How could I share this new understanding with my colleagues and family? What would they think when confronted with my journey? The fear of rejection tightened its grip, reminding me of the potential backlash from those who had counted on my adherence to tradition. Still, the fire ignited within me could not be extinguished. I knew I had to act. The call to confront the deception and to share the revelation of love and faith burned within me. I pushed forward, determined to illuminate the truth amidst the shadows of a world caught in a relentless spiritual war. The path ahead would be fraught with challenges, but I was ready to navigate it, fully aware that many souls awaited liberation. As a 35-year-old engineer, I spent my days immersed in a world of technology and innovation, crafting solutions that held the promise of progress. On the surface, my life appeared perfect. I had a respected position, a stable income, and a family that loved me. Yet, beneath this veneer, I was plagued by a profound emotional emptiness that cloaked my existence like a heavy fog. As I navigated the high-pressure demands of my job, I felt increasingly disconnected from the religious devotion that had once provided me with a sense of identity and purpose. There was a nagging feeling inside me, a growing sense of purposelessness that gnawed at my spirit. I tried to ignore the disquietude, burying myself in work and maintaining the allure of a perfect life. But as the deadlines approached and the expectations mounted, I felt the weight of the world pressing down on me. It was as if I was running a race without a finish line, sprinting toward goals that no longer meant anything. I began to question everything: the values I had been taught, the faith that had been my guiding star, and the souls of many who seemed lost in the same cycle of material pursuit. This inner turmoil became impossible to suppress, and I knew something had to change. Then came the day that would alter my course forever. While engaged in a critical project, a sudden medical emergency struck. In the chaos of the operating room, I lost consciousness. What followed was an experience I could never have predicted. A journey into darkness, followed by a vivid encounter with Jesus. As the darkness enveloped me, I felt my spirit lift, transcending my physical body. I was in a place that felt both familiar and foreign, a vast expanse illuminated by an intense, divine light. Suddenly, there he was, Jesus, standing before me, radiating love and compassion that swept through my very being. In that remarkable moment, the truths that had previously eluded me began to unfold. Jesus spoke of a spiritual war, one that echoed through the very fabric of society. He revealed the hidden agendas of the elite, how deception flowed through headlines and teachings, snowing the masses in fear and division. I witnessed how many were unwitting pawns in a game far greater than themselves, each of us manipulated by narratives that kept us shackled. The urgent revelation compelled me to confront my own complicity in maintaining the status quo, and I felt a responsibility to awaken others to the truth. When I finally awakened back in the hospital, the cacophony of machines jolted me back to reality, but the experience lingered in my mind like an ember waiting to ignite a fire. I was filled with a profound urgency to share my experience, to become a voice that stood against the deception and illuminated the path toward awakening. The spiritual war was not merely a battle of beliefs, but a call to action, a rallying cry to those who felt lost or trapped in their own lives. I was determined to fight for the truth, to shatter the barriers that separated us from the love and freedom Jesus promised. With every step, I felt the weight of a new purpose arise within me, ready to conquer the challenges ahead as I embarked on this transformative journey. As I settled into my routine of daily prayers, an unsettling void began to creep into my heart, one that I couldn't shake off. Sitting in the mosque, surrounded by fellow worshippers, I tried to feel the connection I once had, but the silence was deafening. I recited the familiar words, but they felt increasingly hollow, echoing back to me without the warmth of faith I'd relied upon for so long. It was the first time I truly questioned the foundational aspects of my faith, something I had been taught to accept without doubt. Instead of comfort, I found myself grappling with feelings of disconnection and disillusionment. As the days turned into weeks, this internal conflict intensified. I started to experience strange dreams, vivid scenes that unraveled each night like a tapestry woven from the fabric of my unrest. I saw images of love and freedom intertwined with a creeping darkness, visions of a world struggling under the weight of misinformation and fear. Through it all, I felt the presence of something greater urging me to look beyond the surface, beyond the teachings I had accepted so easily. My nights became battlegrounds, where my subconscious wrestled with the truths that lay hidden beneath years of cultural conditioning. One particularly vivid dream stood out among the rest. In that dream, I found myself standing in a vast, golden field, the sun setting on the horizon, casting warm hues across the landscape. A figure approached, Jesus, radiant and full of grace. He reached out to me, and I felt an overwhelming flood of love and understanding. In that space, he began to share revelations about the spiritual war that was gripping our world. He spoke of the hidden agenda of the elite, who thrived on manipulating the truth for their own gain. The veils of deception that had clouded my mind began to lift, and I saw glimpses of the reality that so many were trapped within. Jesus revealed how these deceptions breached not only the realm of spirituality but also permeated politics and society at large. I witnessed the formidable forces of division and strife, engineered by those who sought to maintain power by keeping people in the dark. The urgency of the situation weighed heavy on my heart. The need for an awakening became glaringly clear. As I listened to him, I realized that my discomfort was part of a larger calling. I could no longer ignore the deep yearning to share this message, to help others break free from the chains of ignorance that bound them. Waking from that dream, the conviction within me burned brighter than ever. I had been shown the truth and thrust into a position where I could no longer remain silent. I needed to embrace the awakening that had been ignited within my soul and challenge the very systems that had kept me and countless others subdued. Despite the fear of potential backlash from my colleagues, from my community, even from my family, I felt a powerful desire to break through the darkness. My journey to share the revelations of Jesus and the truths of the spiritual war was just beginning. The ground beneath me felt uncertain, but the call to action was undeniable. It was time to rise up and shine a light on the deceptions that had dominated so many lives. One sunny afternoon, my life took an unexpected turn. I was driving home after a long day at work, my mind occupied with the pressures of upcoming projects and tight deadlines. Suddenly, in an instant, everything changed. A car ran a red light, slamming into mine with devastating force. In that chaotic moment, time seemed to freeze. I felt a rush of pain, and then, darkness enveloped me. Just like that, I was thrust into a realm that felt unsettling yet curiously serene, a dark, desolate space, and there I was, suspended in an abyss. As I floated in that void, I instinctively knew I wasn't alone. Suddenly, a radiant light pierced through the darkness, illuminating everything around me. In the midst of that light stood Jesus, a figure of utter peace and love. His presence was both comforting and overwhelming, and as he looked at me, I felt a profound connection, a sense that he knew my struggles intimately. "Amir?" he called softly, and the sound of my name resonated within me, breaking down the walls of fear I had built over the years. In that moment, I realized I was witnessing the absolute truth, stripped bare of the religious conventions and societal expectations that had burdened my spirit. Jesus began to reveal messages that shook the very foundation of my understanding. He spoke of a spiritual war raging not just within my heart, but across the globe, a battle for souls caught in the currents of deception and ignorance. I was shown visions of how the elite manipulated the very narratives and belief systems we clung to, sowing seeds of fear and division among us. The revelation cut deep. I saw how I had been entrapped by religious conventions that constricted my understanding of spirituality. Instead of leading me to truth and freedom, they had once kept me shackled to outdated ideologies that clouded my connection to God. As I listened, I began to feel the urgency of his message. Jesus revealed the hidden agenda behind these manipulative structures, how they serve to maintain power and control over the masses, while undermining the essence of love and unity. His message was both a warning and an invitation. The idea that I, along with so many others, could break free from this web of deception began to crystallize in my mind. This awakening was not just about me. It was a call to stand up against an oppressive status quo that had silenced the voices of countless seekers yearning for truth and understanding. In that sacred space, I recognized the incredible responsibility that would come with this newfound understanding. Emerging from the darkness into the light transformed me. I felt as if I had been granted a second chance. But as I was pulled back towards consciousness, I was left with a profound challenge. How would I share these revelations with those still trapped in the shadows of deception? My colleagues, my family, and my community. How would I convey the urgency of this spiritual awakening? I understood that the journey ahead would be fraught with obstacles, but the fire ignited within me would not be easily extinguished. My mission was clear: to become a voice for those still entangled in the lies, leading them toward the light of truth. Returning to my everyday life after that extraordinary experience felt like being thrust back into a world I no longer recognized. The light of Jesus still lingered within me, but as I stepped away from that divine encounter, I was met with cold, harsh reality. My family and friends who once offered unwavering support now looked at me with suspicion and disdain. They viewed my newfound beliefs as a betrayal, my awakening seen as a personal affront to everything they held dear. The spiritual war one had felt within me had spilled over into my life, and suddenly I was fighting not just for my faith but for acceptance in a world that now felt foreign and hostile. The rejection pierced deeply, more painful than I could have anticipated. I had always valued my familial bonds, nurtured by years of tradition and shared values. Yet here I stood, isolated by the very beliefs that had once defined my existence. Each day became a struggle as guilt gnawed at me. I felt like a traitor, haunted by the fear of losing everything I had known. The words of Jesus echoed in my mind, urging me to share the truth, but the fear of repercussions loomed larger than those divine whispers. How could I reconcile the love I had found with the pain it brought to those I cared about? The conversations that once flowed freely with friends turned into awkward exchanges filled with tension. Questions about my faith led to accusations of betrayal, and instead of love, I encountered judgment. The elite, whom I had once considered invincible, suddenly felt dangerously close as I saw them manipulating our very values, creating divides within our communities. My internal battle became a reflection of the external world, blurring the lines between personal beliefs and societal pressures. I found myself questioning everything: my dedication to my family, my career, and ultimately, my spiritual journey. The weight of these changes pressed heavily on my heart. I felt trapped between two worlds, like a tightrope walker balancing above a chasm of confusion and fear. Each day, I continued attending the mosque, reciting prayers that no longer resonated with me, but I felt the eyes of my community upon me. I could sense their judgment, their whispers following me like shadows. I contemplated whether risking everything for truth was worth the pain of exclusion. Could I truly stand firm in my faith when the very foundations I had built my life upon felt like they were crumbling? The spiritual war was personal now, a battle waged not only in my heart but against the fear that threatened to consume me. Through sleepless nights filled with restless thoughts and regrets, I often returned to the moment of illumination I had shared with Jesus. The revelations he provided were not just for my sake, they were a call to action. I felt an urgency to reach others who might be standing on the precipice of doubt, those who were grappling with their spiritual realities in silence. But with every step I thought about taking, the haunting specter of rejection loomed large, reminding me of the price of honesty. Could I enlightenedly embrace my awakening and still hope for reconciliation with my family? This internal conflict swirled with intensity, fueling my desire to share the truth, even as fear threatened to pull me back into the shadows. In the quiet confines of my home, I began to explore the Bible in secret. As an engineer, I had always relied on logic and reason, but now I found myself yearning for something more. Something that connected my heart and spirit to the truth. Each page I turned felt like stepping into a realm of awakening, where the words had the power to transform me. Hidden within those passages, I discovered revelations that challenged everything I had accepted about my faith. In those moments, I felt both fear and exhilaration coursing through my veins. What if my family found out? What would they think of me? The thought of being discovered haunted my every move, igniting a deep conflict within me. Despite those fears, the warmth and love expressed within the teachings of Jesus enveloped me, offering a profound peace I had never known. I felt an unseen force urging me to dig deeper, to seek out others who shared this newfound understanding. That's when I connected with a small community of Christians who had experienced similar awakenings. Our meetings were filled with stories of transformation and struggle, echoing my own journey. Together we explored the spiritual war that raged around us, discussing the ways deception permeated our lives and how the elite manipulated narratives to keep society divided and confused. As I listened to their testimonies, I recognized the patterns of manipulation that had kept so many in bondage. The more we shared, the more I felt empowered to confront the truths we had unearthed. These moments fueled my desire to stand against the hidden agendas that dictated the world around us. However, with each encounter, the fear of exposure grew heavier. How could I reconcile my new beliefs with my old life? The thought of losing my familial ties loomed over me like a shadow, reminding me of all I could potentially sacrifice in pursuit of spiritual truth. Yet, a flicker of hope persisted within me. I saw the urgent need for awakening, not just for myself, but for those still lost in darkness. I realized that if I chose to remain silent, I would be complicit in perpetuating the very deceptions that had ensnared my spirit. The newfound peace I felt compelled me to share this message with those around me, to become an agent of change within my own community, even if it meant risking everything I had ever known. I longed to guide others toward the love and liberation Jesus had shown me, yet the thought of rejection and isolation frightened me. With each passing day, the tension between my two worlds grew more pronounced. I would go to work, maintaining the facade of a devoted engineer while wrestling internally with these profound revelations. I felt the dichotomy of my existence, one foot in a life rich with tradition, and the other yearning for freedom found in faith. I couldn't shake the feeling that my awakening was part of a larger narrative, a call to arms in a spiritual battle that needed warriors willing to speak out. As I prepared to share my truth, I knew I had to brace myself for the potential fallout, for the spiritual war was not just mine to fight, it was a battle that united us all in the quest for understanding and liberation. As days turned into weeks following my near-death experience, it became increasingly clear to me that what I had witnessed was no mere coincidence. My brush with death had felt like divine intervention, a moment where the veil between the physical realm and the spiritual lifted, allowing me to glimpse profound truths. The love of Jesus had enveloped me, offering a freedom I had never known before. This revelation became a clarion call, compelling me to share my story. I couldn't keep this transformative experience locked away. It demanded to be heard, to resonate with others wandering in the shadows of doubt and despair. Yet, as I poised myself to share this awakening, a whirlwind of internal conflict gripped me. Would people accept my newfound beliefs? Would they believe a Muslim engineer who dared to embrace a faith considered foreign? I understood the potential risks involved in openly discussing my encounter with Jesus. The very fabric of my life, my job, my relationships, my standing in the community, hung in the balance like a tightrope walker teetering over a yawning chasm. Still, the urgency of my mission pushed me forward, fueling my desire to warn others of the hidden agendas that governed our lives. In conversations with my newfound friends within the Christian community, I began to grasp the far-reaching implications of the spiritual war we were facing. We discussed how the elite orchestrated division among us, shaping narratives that kept humanity in a state of confusion. Jesus had shown me the tactics used to perpetuate deception. As I learned more, I realized this struggle extended far beyond personal beliefs. It was a collective battle against influences that suppressed truth. The weight of that knowledge felt heavy, but it also ignited a fire within me. I had to speak out, to shed light on the darkness that threatened to engulf those still trapped in fear and ignorance. I began sharing my story, first in small groups, and later more boldly in public forums. Each time I recounted my experience, how Jesus called to me by name, how he revealed the hidden realities of our world. I could see the flickers of recognition in people's eyes. Some were hesitant, their doubt mirrored in their expressions, while others were hungry for the truth I carried. This was more than a personal journey. It became a collective awakening. I could feel the energy shift in the rooms I entered, as if each word was a drop of water nourishing parched ground. However, the more I shared, the more the apprehension grew. Doubts lingered in my mind about the repercussions of my openness. Would my family ever accept my transformation? What if I was ostracized from both my community and my profession? In those moments of fear, I returned to the love and reassurance I felt in Jesus' presence. He reminded me that truth, once revealed, does not shatter, it liberates. So I pressed on, fueled by my conviction that this path, though fraught with danger, was one of purpose and destiny. The need to illuminate the darkness overshadowing so many lives became a mission I could not ignore. Now, as I stand on the precipice of this monumental change, I recognize that the journey is ongoing. Each step forward reveals not just the lies we face, but also the incredible power of faith and shared experience. The stories of those I encountered resonated deeply, reinforcing the urgency of our spiritual battle. Through victories and struggles alike, I felt compelled to keep fighting for the truth. As my identity evolved and my understanding deepened, I was ready to face whatever awaited me, bolstered by a movement that promised hope and healing for a world so desperately in need. The day I made the decision to leave everything behind, I felt a mix of fear and exhilaration wash over me. It was a choice that not only marked the end of my old life, but also signified the beginning of a new journey toward spiritual liberation. Having experienced the life-altering encounter with Jesus during my near-death experience, I understood that staying in my hometown would not allow me to fully embrace the truth I had discovered. The bindings of tradition, once familiar and comforting, now felt heavy and suffocating. I could no longer ignore the spiritual war that raged inside me, nor could I sit quietly while the hidden agenda of the elite threatened to undermine the spiritual awakening happening within the hearts of those around me. As I drove away, the landscape blurred past my window like an unmade memory, and I entered what felt like a vast desert, a symbolic representation of my transition into the unknown. Each mile marked a separation from the life I knew, and the anxiety of leaving my family behind weighed heavily on my heart. Still, the bright light of Jesus' love warmed my spirit, serving as a compass to navigate the uncertain terrain ahead. I knew there was a greater purpose waiting for me on this path of awakening, one that would allow me to live out my faith freely and authentically, sharing the truth I had encountered. In the desert, I wrestled with feelings of vulnerability. This barren expanse mirrored my internal struggles as I confronted the fears and doubts left behind alongside streets filled with memories. I had not just walked away from my family, I had left behind a part of myself that clung desperately to tradition. Yet in those moments of solitude, I found a reservoir of strength I never knew existed. Each challenge became an opportunity for growth, and I began using my experiences as lessons to inspire others who felt trapped by similar constraints. The spiritual war one had faced was not just my battle. It was a call to action for those around me who longed to break free from societal shackles. Throughout this journey, I connected with a small community that provided solace and camaraderie. Together we explored the deeper messages of Jesus, embarking on discussions about the revelations that transcended our individual experiences. I realized how many shared my story of awakening, and how the truth of these revelations held the power to transform lives. Conversations flowed with urgency as we delved into the larger deceptions that enveloped our world, confronting the manipulation that kept so many in fear and ignorance. Each meeting reminded me of the importance of standing up against the narratives that sought to control us, urging us to embrace the freedom that comes from faith. Years later, as I continued my mission work, I found myself in a safe environment, surrounded by others committed to sharing the love I had discovered. My testimony impacted those around me, igniting sparks of awakening in their hearts. Despite the distance from my family, I held on to hope. Hope that one day they would see the truth that had set me free and reconcile with me. My journey was no longer solely about my own liberation. It extended beyond my past to touch the lives of many seeking purpose and meaning. The spiritual war raged on, but with each soul reached, I felt I was slowly contributing to a wave of awakening that could one day break down the walls of division and ignite a collective fire for truth. As I reflect on this journey, I invite you to pause and consider the tapestry of lives we're all woven into. What if every soul in this world is a thread, intricately connected, each bearing the mark of a deeper truth just waiting to be unveiled? Amidst the trials, heartaches, and awakening struggles I experienced, I realized something profound. We are not just individuals. We are participants in a grand cosmic battle, a spiritual war that transcends our understanding. While some may choose to remain in the shadows, I chose to step into the light, ignited by love and a call to share the truth. Each one of us has the potential to experience a divine encounter, not just through the lens of my story, but through our own fragmented journeys. I challenge you. Have you ever felt that nagging discontent, hearing echoes of truth whispering in your spirit? Are you ready to confront the hidden agendas that distract us from our true purpose? I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced a moment in your life that made you question everything, or perhaps even feel the touch of the divine? Your perspective matters. Share your journey in the comments. If this message spoke to your heart, I urge you, don't leave without subscribing to Truth from Beyond and hitting the notification bell. It's imperative to stay connected, for what lies ahead will delve deeper into the spiritual awakening that connects us all. We're on the brink of revelations that may change our understanding of life itself, together navigating this landscape of truth. Set your sights on the next video, where we'll explore another powerful NDE that unveils hidden truths. It's a story that could resonate with your own experiences and open pathways to understanding we never knew existed. My name is Amir, and I thank you for joining me on this journey. Remember, the truth always finds those who are ready to receive it. As you step forward, carry the knowledge that you are not alone. Together, we are igniting a power that resonates in every heart willing to awaken.